Hello, I'm Caroline Fairchild, and welcome to LinkedIn News Live, where the business conversation begins with you. How do you bring your authentic self to work? RuPaul is known around the world for being a fearless advocate of authenticity. The cultural icon recently sat down with LinkedIn News senior editor Andrew Seaman for our series, Conversations for Change, to celebrate LGBTQ Pride Month.
The key is to know thyself. Be brave enough to peel away the layers and look at yourself in the mirror. This conversation is really all about discovering that and self-discovery.
Hi, everyone. My name is Andrew Seaman. I'm LinkedIn's senior news editor for job searches and careers. Today, we have a very special guest, and we're going to be talking as part of our Conversations for Change and Out on LinkedIn series with someone who is an international superstar, cultural icon. He is an actor, he is a model, an author, a singer, and a multiple Emmy winner. Welcome, RuPaul. Hi, RuPaul.
Hi, great to be here.
Of course. We wanted to talk to you how people can really embrace who they are in the workplace and also their everyday lives. One of the things that I want to talk about is obviously Drag Race, which is your phenomenal television show entering its 14th season. And one of the things that always strikes me is that you don't necessarily always tell the queens how to do specific things. You're telling them how to get out of their own way. And do you find that that is the most important, helpful thing for them?
Yes, I found that in life, most lessons are not something that you have to learn. There's something you have to remember. Because the truth is, your deeper self actually knows the answer to most of life's questions. You actually come standard equipment in the vehicle that you're in. So it's really a matter of clearing a path for your frequency or the truth or the source to move through you.
Obviously, it takes a lot of work to get to where you are. And when in your life did you start to sort of say, listen, I have to get out of my own way? Because it's not something that we're necessarily naturally born with.
I've always been a seeker. And even as a kid, I knew that I felt I didn't fit in, as a lot of people feel that way. I didn't fit in, and I knew that I was smart enough to figure out a way to fit in. So I set about figuring out society and what's going on, what's really happening here. And I got it. I got what it is people are doing. And what I found is that most people are faking it. Most people are faking being grown up, responsible adults. And that most people are very scared, and that most people are hiding the fact that not so deep beneath the layer of their skin is a child, a very scared child who really wants validation and love and boundaries and all of those things that a kid wants from a parent.
And obviously, LGBTQ people, we do have to play a role early on in our lives because we feel that it's protective. And what's your advice for LGBTQ people who they still feel like they have to hide?
First of all, my heart goes out to anyone who has to do that. But the truth is, a lot of times you have to do that. A lot of times you're around ignorant people who themselves are so fearful that anything that they're not familiar with, they're going to attack. So a lot of times the best thing to do is to not show your hand until you can get to a place where you can show your hand. I never wanted to be in a place like that. I know that some people don't have the choice. I'm from San Diego. I remember from a very early age that I knew I had to get the heck out of San Diego. Now, San Diego's beautiful, but when I was going up there, very Republican, very conservative, very, very white. It just, for me as a kid, just flavorless, and I thought I need to get to New York to get to Studio 54, even though I wasn't old enough to go. So for people who are having to do that, sometimes that's the only choice you have is to do that. My other advice would be, if you can get away from there, get away. I know it sounds so simple and cavalier for me to say just get away, but from my experience, I had no choice. I was going to get away no matter what. My goal is to go out and find these people, my tribe, who thought of life the way I did, which is these people were breaking the fourth wall and they were making fun of everything that was on that proverbial stage. And a lot of times for those people who are having to hide themselves at work, a lot of times all it takes is one person outside of work or at work who is your member of your tribe who can just understand you and you can be yourself with.
And I assume drag is that for you because you get to sort of say, today I'm this person, today I'm that person. I don't care what you think.
Absolutely. Drag for me was a way of saying, I see the role that you're playing, and I'm going to, in a subversive way, make fun of the role you're playing. And in a broad statement, say, we're all born naked and the rest is drag. Every one of us is in drag. People get distracted by the fact that we're prancing around and we look so good in drag. But the real story with drag is that we're all in drag, and there isn't a human alive who is not in drag.
One of the things, like you said, have been about breaking the fourth wall and doing drag is that you have been a boundary breaker, and that's not always easy. Do you still face discrimination or pushback, do you think, in your industry or professionally sometimes?
Well, that's a great question. I do face resistance, but not from the places you would think. From the time I was a kid, I was shunned by Black people for being gay, by white people for being Black, and by gay people for being femme. So what that tells you is that the human ego needs to put someone down to make itself feel bigger. Now, by the way, that never works. Putting someone else down to make yourself feel bigger, it's an illusion. It never works. It never lasts. So you have to continue to do it. In fact, the oppressed take on the characteristics of their oppressor. Unless they're able to break the chain, unless they're able to see themselves.
Obviously, this past year, a lot of people have had to do at least some work on not themselves inside, but at least thinking about who I am and what I want to do. How do you suggest people find what they want to do on the other side of this?
Well, I want to go back to know thyself, know thyself. And that really entails being unafraid of digging through your consciousness and being in a quiet space. I like to stretch, I pray, and I meditate. And in that quiet time with yourself, you will find your own natural frequency that is there to guide you and to put you exactly where you need to be. But first, you have to be willing to take the time to clear away the debris that is blocking your own frequency. But most people, because of maybe family or guilt or shame or relationships, they get derailed by their lives. So my suggestion is to find a quiet place where you can discover your own frequency.
But I want to pivot to some questions from LinkedIn members. I want to start with one from Romero. And they ask, how do you help unleash someone's full potential?
You can't. You can't. It's as simple as that. I started out in the East Village in New York with the most talented, the most beautiful talent artists in the world you can imagine. Drag, not drag, singers, everything, you name it. Way more talented than I am, way more everything that I am. They had created an identity for themselves as a starving artist or an East Village artist or whatever, and they couldn't move beyond that. And I tell you, Andrew, it broke my heart. When I hit the big time, I went to my friends and said, "Hey, take my hand, come with me. There's a seat for you in the writer's room. Come." They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it without bringing a lot of baggage with them. They couldn't do it. Very few have, but most cannot do it because a lot of people create an identity for themselves and they aren't able to evolve from that initial identity. You know, a lot of people adopt a victim identity. And it's like, well, are you able to evolve from that to go on to the next phase? Most people cannot. And so they've taught me that I have to continue to evolve. I am a living example of what it takes to navigate a career. You may not want to be in show business. You may want to do something in the business world or, retail or farming. But all of the solutions are the same. See who you are and what you have to bring to the party. I think this conversation is really all about discovering that and self-discovery. I do whatever it takes because I'm here on this planet to try to get as much done and have as much fun that I can, because I love creativity. I love solving a puzzle. I love it. That's what I do. And to do that, I have to continue to evolve and not lock in who I think I am.
We have a question here from Sabrina, who asks, how do you manage so many people and strong personalities?
I'm a diplomat. A big part of my job is being a diplomat. I'm able to get what I want out of charm and sweetness. And sometimes I have to break it down for an MF. Sometimes I break it down, but it's rare. It's rare. And the truth is, I really only want to work around people who are sweethearts.
And sort of from the person standpoint, we have a question here from Kevin, who says, how can a person tell the difference between their inner saboteur and legitimate self-criticism?
That's a very good question. The saboteur has certain patterns. The longer you live and the more you recognize it, you see that the patterns it uses, the techniques it uses are all the same. The end result is always to put you down, to make you feel terrible. Genuine critique is different from that because genuine critique has to do with solutions. It has to do with understanding what your goal is, what the objective of your goal is, and going about finding a way to make that happen, which is a proactive thing. The saboteur is all about tearing you down.
David asks, how do you redefine success for yourself as you achieved your career goals?
After many years of therapy, I realized that I had used getting famous as a way to validate myself and to get my father's approval. I learned that that wasn't something I wanted. And when I got back into show business full on with the ambition I have today, my motivation wasn't my father. My motivation was me, from the inside out, not from the outside in. If you're having a terrible time and you don't like what you do, that is not successful. Even if you're making a whole lot of money. You know, I don't do this for the fame. I don't do this for the money. I do it because I get to play with my friends and I get to be creative.
Well, thank you so much, RuPaul. This has been a wonderful conversation.
Andrew, you are a joy. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I had a blast.
That was RuPaul speaking with my colleague, Andrew Seaman. All right, and to share your stories like these and check out other conversations, be sure to check out the news module to the right of your LinkedIn feed, or if you're in mobile, you can click into that search box. Tomorrow on LinkedIn News Live, we're having a conversation around the job numbers. They're out at 8 Eastern, and I'll be speaking with Guild Education founder and CEO Rachel Carlson here at the LinkedIn News page at 12:30 Eastern about the growing labor shortage. I'm Caroline Fairchild. Thank you so much for joining us.